For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sally Swan, I'm Head of Partnerships, and I'm joined today with my colleague Kate, who is our website expert and also our lead trainer, so wearer of a couple of hats, and one of our partners, David from Wedlake Funerals. And this morning, Kate is going to be sharing her expertise around the power of words and why website content matters more than ever. So before I hand over to her, if you've got any questions, and there will be time for questions, please pop them in the chat box, and then Kate and I will go through them at the end of the presentation. And there will be, we are recording this, so there will be a recording available through our support site if you want to refer back to it afterwards. So over to you, Kate.
Thank you very much. And I'm having my usual faff around and while I get my screen ready. But it's really exciting that we've got so many people joining us today, because I'm used to webinars of just sort of 10 to 15 people. So 36 is a great number for me. I'm very excited about that. So I'm just going to share my screen. And hopefully you should be seeing a little something on your screen now.
Yep, we can see that.
Great. Okay, so as Sally mentioned, I am Kate, and I've been creating search engine friendly websites for around 15 years. But today I want to talk to you about, well, about the messages and content that you're putting online. So if there's anybody with us today who thinks that they're attending a session about setting up a tribute page, which is what I also do, then there is one of those later in the month, and we can send you the correct links if you like. So whether you're a seasoned funeral director or someone else within the organisation working closely with families, one thing that will never change is what you say to your families matters. Currently, this could be on the phone, it could be in person, and yes, it could be on your website. Your website is no longer just a digital brochure. It's often the first place families visit, sometimes at the worst moment of their lives. So they're looking for compassion, they're looking for clarity, and they're looking for confidence. And words and imagery can be used so that you can make that connection. With so many ways of accessing your website available to everyone, using tablets, phones, televisions, smart speakers and other devices, they're able to find out about you and your business and get a feel for whether you're the someone they want to talk to. So we're going to pop a little question on your screen now to let us all know, and also to remind yourselves of where you're at in terms of your online visibility. Sally, how's it going? Are you ready with the pop-up?
So it's on its way. Yeah, should be visible on everyone's screens.
Okay, we've got it. We've got a nice little, I think everybody can see the poll and how it's going at the moment. So we've got a good section of people who actually don't know when they last updated their website, which is an interesting fact there. So we'll check back on that. We've only had 17 responses, so we'll check back on that a bit later on and see if those people who don't know are keen to do something about it. So that's lovely. Thank you for the interactivity there. Let's think about what your families are seeing then and reading about online. Comfort comes not only from actions, but from language. The right words say, we're here, we understand, and we can help. And cold and generic phrases can make people take their questions and problems elsewhere. So compare these two statements. This is a generic phrase I see scattered around a lot of funeral director websites. But small changes make sure your website and any social media posting shows warmth and that human connection that I'm going to talk about a little more later on. Now then, let's talk website structure. I'm sure you already have the essential pages and lots of links to your standardized price list. I hope that you've all got our funeral notices and our customer review pages as well. Statistically, you have around 9 seconds to impress a real person on your website. The reason I just said real person is you have just under 4 seconds to impress an AI tool like ChatGPT before it writes your site off and moves on. So, in essence, every word and every image counts. The homepage must be clear, well laid out, easy to read, with a good size, clear font, and warm and friendly. We all know people buy people. So put some right there on your homepage and show that you are human and that you can be trusted. Yes, your hearses are very impressive, but they can have a page of their own. Pop them on an Our Vehicles page, perhaps. And think about diversity. Not everyone grieves in the same way. Use your homepage to solve your family's problems. Your families will land here with a bunch of questions. Answer them. We have seen websites that don't immediately make the visitor aware that they sell funerals. If you have our tribute service, you can have a useful funeral notices widget on your homepage. And we're also developing our sliding testimonials widget, which works well here. And local information. Make sure there's lots of relevance to your neighbourhood. An image of a recognisable local landmark, for example. And again, think about the diversity and the different cultures within your community. The About Us page is where you can show your heart and your community engagement. If you're putting your staff profiles, don't just reel off the qualifications. If they play the tuba in the local band or parachuting with the local WI, shout about it here. Maybe even include a personal testimonial they may have received. And staff photos. I find that standing on one side technique can work quite well. But make sure the photo is conveying that warm, human, and colour image. I know that black and white can seem quite flattering, but a well-taken colour photo can look really good too. Be specific on your services page. Describe how, and importantly, where you provide that service. What's involved? Maybe include a photograph of you providing that service for a family locally. And make sure the tone is gentle and human. Maybe link it with your pricing page and add your standardized price list here as well. Put yourself in the shoes of the person who's looking for help. Take their journey. They want to know that they have different options and that they can customize their requirements. They may never have arranged a funeral before and need to know that you offer a full guidance service and what you can provide. Which brings me to the what to do when page. I'm going to repeat this a few times today because it's really important. When you're writing any content, don't write it for search engines. Don't write it for Google. Don't try and use salesy marketing speak. Write it for your families and write it for you. Good, relevant content that's useful to the people who are visiting your website will always rank better than keyword stuffing or 1,000 backlinks or whatever black hat methods many agencies might use or recommend. Your what to do when page is vital information for that person who's never arranged a funeral before. So make sure it's supportive, actionable, maybe a checklist or frequently asked questions. Lay it out in a visually pleasing way that's easy to read. I've created a useful checklist for your families that I use on some of our partner websites, which is great content and you're welcome to a copy. If you want one, just ask. Now, obviously, I'm not going to miss the opportunity here to mention a couple more vital pages to your website. The upcoming and previous funeral notices is nearly always the most visited page on our partners' websites. It includes local geographical information as well. But you may not know about our independent review service, which is included as a much-loved partner and provides a great resource for your families to hang around your website, reading the wonderful words that others have written about you. And here's some other useful pages you might like to include. Again, think about that person who's never organised a funeral. They want suggestions and guidance on things they've never needed to think about before. I regularly take a jog around Google Analytics for our website partners, and I've noticed that these 3 pages in particular have proved popular with visitors to their sites. So feel free to take a moment to put into the chat any other pages that you think would be helpful here. And where do we and how do we start to create all this fresh new content? Well, we start with you and your families. We start with Doris down the road who's lost her husband, John from the posh estate on the other end of town who's lost his son. What do they need to know? What questions are they asking? What's their story and how can you guide and help them? Maybe you know what it is you want to say on social media or on your website, but you just can't think of the words to say it. Original thought is a human talent that helps us grow. The internet is not yet capable of original thought, but you are. Embrace this fact and use it to create interesting articles. Take a walk or a bath and record your creative ideas and thoughts which pop into your head. I often email or WhatsApp myself while walking the dog or floating ideas amongst the much-loved team. AI and ChatGPT can be a fantastic assistant, but your job is done by humans for humans. So why would you use a robot if you want a human response? AI tools are regurgitating information taken from the internet, resulting in a generic tone that doesn't reflect your care. And the internet has a vast mix of verified and unverified information, particularly around UK laws and industry regulations. So, by using these tools, you might be passing on incorrect facts or fake news. You might find it suggesting content that's not actually relevant or correct for your audience. So you need to be vigilant and fact check any industry-specific information. But there are advantages. So I'm not saying don't use AI tools. They can save you time, help you spark ideas, which you can then edit and personalize. And you can also get help to give structure and flow to your content. But never let it replace your voice. I've actually written a blog article about this subject in particular, and I'll pop the link on an email at the end of this session if you like. But I also want to add that if the AI tool you're using is free to use, then it's definitely harvesting your data. So while you're getting information from them, they're getting information from you as well. So the best sort of content is information by experts in the field. And that's you. But you're busy folk, and while you have the brains and the experience, you possibly don't have the time. You may find that there are local copywriters in your area that also offer social media services. They can often tell your story better than an AI tool, so I've created a checklist if you want to engage with one of these, and I'd recommend a small local business who understands the local area and community. They'll know where to advertise locally and what works in your area. So I've put this checklist here, but I can also email a downloadable copy of the checklist, which includes an example email template you could send them for requesting their services. Just ask in the chat. And of course, much love to have a marketing team available to our partners who are on hand to help with your website and social media content. But we need you to give us some base copy to work from. We need to know more about your business, and we need to know about your values and your team so that we can sing about it on your website. Because of course, when you're writing content, it's not just for your website. You're reaching out to potential clients in other ways, and these are even more important. Website content doesn't live in isolation. It supports and is supported by what I like to call off the page marketing. You need to reply to Google reviews. You need to make sure your Google business listing is up to date. Wake up, David, I'm about to ask you a question. Make sure you're giving a consistent and human message throughout. And I've mentioned community events here, and we've got a full blog article and webinar with community engagement ideas, which goes into much more detail about the obvious benefits of getting to know those who live in your area and suggestions of how ways to do this. But I'm delighted to say that we've got a wonderful funeral director with us today who is extremely busy with thousands of satisfied families. So it's great that he's very kindly taken some time out to tell us a bit more about how he does this. So David, I know you get involved in lots of community activities. Can you share some stories about a few of them with these lovely people, please?
So there's lots of ways. Obviously, we hold coffee mornings in our branches. We've just opened a second branch, and so we're looking at this month. We're looking at the Macmillan Coffee Morning. So we'll be holding a coffee morning, one branch on the Friday, and on the Saturday we'll be in the second branch. But also, it's about being out in the community. Obviously, we're community funeral directors. There's a picture now on there of me singing, joining Roach Brass. I'm down in Cornwall. Brass music. A big thing in Cornwall, so the local brass band asked me if I'd join them to sing with them for their last night at the Proms concert. So it's an opportunity to be seen out and about. I see people there who know I'm one of the local funeral directors. I see people there of families we've looked after. That's one way. I'm often asked to call bingo for charity events. Sometimes they're charity events that I'll organise a bingo because it's a cause close to my heart. Sometimes someone will ask me to call bingo for an event that they're organising for something but it's always about the community. I found myself auctioning stuff up at one of the local harvest events. I've found myself organising concerts and that sort of thing. And one of the big things I do is on Christmas Day, I organise a Christmas Day dinner for those who are on their own. So that's something I started. This is, I think, my 7th year of doing it. And we also
enjoy these things, David. And does it equate to more business?
It does, because people, you'll have heard the phrase "people buy off people," and you've heard Kate talk today about the human factor. It's about being human, and your language being human language and empathetic language. And actually it is, because people do make contact because of those kind of events, because they know you. It's a very common people buy off people. And so actually being seen out and about in the community, supporting people, helping people. One of the things I got roped into helping was the local Derby and Joan Club. Now there's a bit of a joke there, because they think, oh yeah, well that's prime territory, isn't it? But actually, they were really on their knees after COVID. And I go in, I speak to people. But yeah, it is, and it's because people know me. And that's the thing, because people, when they're looking at that time of need, they want to reach out and be supported by someone they know, someone that they know is going to look after them. And being seen and visible in the community is a big part of that. It also gives us something to talk about on our social media profile.
Exactly, yes, and it's really nice that you do actually do that. You have your own blog, you have your own community area on your website, and you've got a lot of articles on there, and it's really good that you're able to sing about all this community work that you do. And again, that's really good for business, and it's really good for search engines as well. So yeah, thank you, David. Thank you for your input there. That was really, really useful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So talking about SEO then, I know that you're probably keen to have your websites dancing at the top of Google. So we have to talk about search engine optimization, but no worries, no boring jargon or more acronyms here. Just a little bit of advice to make sure that you write clear and helpful content. We know that search engines like a good splattering of keywords, but don't just stuff in the important ones for the sake of it. Make your sentences easy to read and appropriate for the audience. The search engines want to give their users the most useful information they can. I'm going to repeat this again later, but you will rank higher if you write for your families and not for search engines. Therefore, write down the questions that your families are asking you. I think it'll be fine to say to them, "That's an excellent question, and I'm just jotting it down," before you give them your helpful response. So let's go back to that content reboot we started planning earlier, with a few examples of generic phrases I've found while surfing some funeral directors' websites. Here's a website with a vague and overused corporate welcome message. Let's delete it and work on it a bit. Now I've engaged my audience and they're thinking about the person who's died. So let's give our reader choice and scope. I've used our and you here to create a connection. Imagine that person is sitting right in front of you and think about that conversation that you'd be having. Think about the language and the tone that you would be using. And these are the sort of small changes that can be made. They don't need a full rewrite of your site, just some care and attention to the wording you already have. So that was fun. Now it's your turn. If you just pop in the chat, what sentences could I put here instead of this cold generic line? What would you change? What suggestions could you make to this little bit here? Knowing now that you need a warmer tone. Nobody's daring. Nobody's daring. Nobody. Oh, this is nice. And perhaps engage. Thank you, Adam, for playing. Thank you for playing the game. And perhaps you could engage with them and talk about them as well, and what you know, the person. Again, imagine the person that you're talking to, and imagine how the language that you would use if they were literally with you in the room. That's an interesting use of the word "we endeavour to." That's saying that you are trying to, David. But that's lovely. But that's saying that you're trying to create a relevant. I think you could just say you do create a relevant and memorable service. It's not that you're trying to. You actually do. You know, be proud of the work that you do. You're a really good, David. You're a really good funeral director, and you're really good at what you do. And say that. You know, we create a relevant and memorable service to say goodbye. That's really nice, though. Thank you. That's a nice little one-liner, Stuart. Thank you very much. But I think you could probably go a bit more about how you respectfully provide. How do you do that? You know, you could put a bit more meat on those bones. So thank you, Stuart. With you, that's lovely. That one from Frome. That's a really nice, short and succinct, and it's using both. So that's lovely. And thank you, David. I've read that line so many times because I created the website. Throughout this presentation, I've actually splattered little bits of David's website. So if you want to look at Wedlake Funeral Home's website, then you can Google that one. But thank you. Okay, yeah, that was great. Yes, thank you for playing, everybody. I'm going to move on, but you're welcome to suggest some more as we go on. So it's quite obvious that you don't have to become a copywriter or the next best-selling author. Here are some 5 easy wins you can take away from this session. Humanize your homepage. Answer the questions that people are looking to answer. Fresh testimonials and reviews. Email us and we can talk about our review service and how to use it. But if you're manually adding your own reviews to your website, make sure they're not 10, 15 years old. Freshen the page up a bit with some new testimonials. I'm sure you're getting cards through the post all the time or emails. Put those fresh testimonials or any of those nice comments on your website. And good quality photos and interesting and relatable bios. Make sure your titles and headings are also helping your users and visitors. Make them want to read what's underneath. Imagine you're looking at your post or your website through the eyes of Ginny, who's one of the 70% of people looking at your information on a mobile phone. She's lost her dad. She's got no idea where to start. Is your online presence answering her questions? Is your website supporting and helping her? Check the other devices, check the tablets, check iPads, march into Currys or John Lewis and pop your website on their demo laptops and just see how they look on there. Just go on, have a play with their iPads in Currys, put your own website on there and see how it looks. When someone searches for your services, they're not just looking for logistics, they're looking for a connection. Your words are often the first act of care. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, one just popped up from Mark. How does the much loved review service work?
Okay, I'm going to put my email address on here, and then you can just email me and we can just do a little session over the phone and I can show you. Mark, if you just send me an email, I will show you how it all comes together, and I'll also show you some examples. David is using the review service really nicely. I'll show you that website and how he's using it. And do you want me to have a quick look?
Can we show it in one session?
Are you there already, Sally?
Oh no, I'm not there already, but I can be.
Okay, well it's in my shortcuts.
Okay. I'll just fill in. So the review service, it's an independent review service. It's part of your much loved partnership options. If you're a Optimum partner, so a subscribed partner, you directly get access to it. So you can invite your families to review your service. So it's up to you who you send those invitations to. And then the reviews will automatically appear on your website, as you can see here, as Kate's showing. And then you can also respond to them if you want to. So a little bit like if you were leaving a review on TripAdvisor
Or
for
Google.
a hotel or something, you can respond to the review.
I can see I've got a couple there to respond to.
It can, if you're already using Google reviews, it can actually sit alongside a Google reviews widget as well. So if you're already using they don't link to Google, no, Stuart, but it's a very good question. The Google reviews are obviously separate, but what's so nice about this is they are in a way monitored, so you can actually stop that review from going on your website if you want to, because we do get some instances. I mean, all of our funeral directors are always getting 5-star reviews all the time, and it's really wonderful to see. But we do get instances every now and again where somebody who's not very technologically minded presses the 1-star and then puts a glowing review. So they've clearly made a mistake. So we can actually sort that out. And you know, it's not like Google where you've got to go through hoops and loops. We can sort that out very quickly and change it to a 5-star that they intended. So it is an independent, and of course, all this is really good content for Google and any other search engines, because what you've got is somebody local or mentioning local things, and talking about funerals and that sort of stuff. So it's really good content that's being constantly refreshed. So this one here is just the 3rd of September. So that was content that was updated, and you've got 3 bits of regularly updated content going directly onto your website. Obviously the Google reviews are, if they click on it, it takes people away from your website. So any system that is taking people away from your website is obviously not going to bring traffic.
It's also good because you can preload any cards or messages that you've got through the system, and through the widget coding, they'll automatically appear. So if they've got a yellow tick, that's where David has transcribed those from cards or maybe an email that he's received, and can add those to display alongside the reviews that you've collected online.
David, if you want to pop your email address in the chat or send me an email, then I can send you a copy of that checklist. Or actually, I'm emailing you anyway. So yeah, if I can send you a copy of that checklist, no problem at all.
And I'm just going to pop a link to the article that you mentioned earlier, Kate, that you'd written, just so that the audience have got direct access to that. So I'll just pop that in now.
Oh, Adrian's here. Oh, it's a shame we haven't got cameras. I just want to say hello to Adrian, another very regular user.
So do search engines recognise much loved reviews in the same way that they would Google or Facebook, etc.?
They actually recognise them better because they actually bring traffic to your website. So they don't recognise them in the same way, in that I know that Google and Facebook put those little bits and pieces on the right hand side within your. We don't have it in there. You know, I'm talking about the my location bits and pieces that comes up on the right hand side. So we don't appear there, but it does bring it. It means that you're likely to rank higher because you've got that fresh content coming up. So they recognise it differently, if that makes sense.
Really worth having multiple different reviews for that purpose. So you're covering
Yes,
all bases.
Exactly. I think it's worth keeping the Google and Facebook reviews, definitely, because everybody uses different things. When someone accesses a much loved tribute via a much loved generated QR code, does this bypass our website? And therefore, it depends how you've got that set up. I don't know where you're from, Mags, but if you've got you can have it set up so that QR code actually goes directly to your website. So it goes to the tribute details page on your website. So if you just pop me an email and we'll find out how your site is set up, and then I'll tell you whether it's or just try one, because we can set it up so that it goes to a tribute details page on your website. But I know some of them aren't because of the way their website's set up.
Yeah, I was just going to say there is a link on the tribute back to your website as well. So even if the when they're searching for funeral information directly on your website, and they find it, and then they link back, and it links directly back to the tribute, there is a link back to your website on the tribute. So it kind of creates a sort of full circle.
Yeah, but Mags, if you just send me an email and we'll take a look at your individual setup and see if we can get that moving. We're very approachable. We're very flexible. We can make things happen. I think that's all quiet and that. Thank you, David. Thank you for joining us and doing your little bit, and thank you for letting us showcase your website.
That's all right. It's very new, very new, very proud of it.
I feel it would be remiss of me not to say, whilst I have this great audience, that if you are looking to update or review your website, then that is something that we can help you with. So please do get in touch with us. You can get in touch with Kate directly, or you can always email support@muchloved.com, and we can talk you through the service that we can provide in terms of renewing and refreshing your website as one of the services that we offer, as well as tributes and reviews.